Right, Harley-Davidson Street Bob. You can find this one online. It is pretty much completely stock. I'm actually excited to ride one of these things stock because we have another one on the floor that's matte red, and it has a lot of mods on there, and that thing moves like a bat out of heck. I'm trying to keep this kid friendly, but man, that thing moves. I'm wondering if that is if that's the mods that are on it, or if that's just this Street Bob 107. Let's find out. So yeah, first things first, seating position is great. These mid controls, personally, I have not found a way to enjoy these completely yet, so to each their own. If you're a mid control guy, this is going to feel very at home, but if you're not, you may want to go sit on one of these and make sure it's for you. I'm 6'2", so you know, leg position is kind of where I run into problems on these Street Bobs. Wow. Yeah, so it's definitely got very similar torque. Oh yeah, it's just a Street Bob thing. So these 107s are just very quick. You know, it's a big motor and a small frame, and for you power to weight boys, you know that equals smiles, and no exception here. Yeah, it just wants to rip you off the bike. If anything, I would say that this bike really suffers from its original seat. I cannot stand this seat. Some people might be fine with it, but there's nothing behind this seat, so you know, the bolstering is pretty much the only thing keeping you in place when you accelerate. And you know, if I was on the Iron 883, hey, no problem, but this 107, man, this thing absolutely puts you through the back seat. So I do not expect I would ever keep this seat on this bike. The way I'd ride it, I'd probably fall off of this thing in the first 6 months of ownership. That's just me. So something that's very obvious with these bikes is easy highway merge. Super easy. You don't need a downshift. If you got somebody coming up on your tail section that you don't like, just roll on the throttle and you'll be out in front of them in no time. And personally, I feel like that's one of the biggest safety barriers with this bike is the power and the torque. And I would say also the maneuverability. It's one of the lighter, it's on the lighter end for Harleys. Harleys are not light, but as far as Harleys go, this is definitely one of the lighter ones. Yeah, it flicks over just fine. You roll on throttle, she's there. A little trick of the trade that I found to help make these things somewhat comfortable if you're not used to this is to push your butt back into the seat, and that gives your feet something to, you know, there you go, so something to lean off of. But with this seat, I wouldn't all the way trust that method yet. I'm usually riding a Saddleman or something when I'm on a bike like this, and I'm kind of missing it. Okay, brakes feel safe. Oh yeah, down low, this thing is just a freaking joy. Let's see how the suspension feels. Drag that rear brake. Oh yeah. Oh, he's gonna merge over. He would have hit me. Let's let him go. By all costs, that man was getting over. So yeah, first impressions about this bike, I hate the seat. The engine though is amazing. We have another bike, like I said, on the floor with some mods, and if you want this thing to sound loud, it'll get loud. But as it is right now, it's not obnoxious. It's definitely something that you can hear, so you know, you're not going to be getting in trouble with cars wanting to hit you if it's stock. I don't think, at least. Harley-Davidson has come a long way. You know, the nostalgia has kind of kept Harley-Davidson, for lack of better terms, immune to evolving their technology. You know, they're okay with some of the older tech because, hey, You know, some guys are looking at Harleys, they get it because it's nostalgic. But I will say with this bike, it feels like a good mix of, you know, Harley feel, but maybe some modern comfort and performance. Because with this much engine, you know, what kind of slander that Harley normally goes through is, well, hey, how do you have a 2000cc motorcycle and it's only making this much horsepower? If you're looking at Harleys through that scope, you might kind of miss the point of a lot of Harley's lineup. It's not really meant to be a spec leader, you know, and Indian has definitely pushed them to release some stuff that still give you those specs. You know, I'm looking at the Sportster S, I'm looking at the Pan America, and funny enough, those are probably the most hated bikes by the Harley community, arguably, if not the Nightster and stuff like that. So it's you know, I've got to sympathize with Harley's position. It's a tough one to be in, you know. You got all these modern folks saying that, hey, I'll never buy a Harley because it's too old-fashioned. But then as soon as you make something modern, you know, your current market is saying, hey, what the heck, you know, where's my nostalgia at? And they start getting mad that things have updated. So, you know, I feel like they're giving us a little bit of both with this Milwaukee-Eight motor. It feels a lot smoother, more refined, you know, it definitely has more punch in that mid-zone. So maybe this is probably the best of both worlds. Shut up the haters, but also keep our boys happy, right? Ooh. Yeah, the torque on this bike is really great. That's just what I've noticed from Street Bobs, is they're so fun to just rip off the light and leave every car behind you who's probably looking at you saying, wow, that guy looks really tough and cool. So very comfortable around the town, by the way. It's light, easy maneuver, so I was pretty comfortable splitting that lane. No issues there. Rawr. Excuse me. Yeah. Yeah, this thing's just a joy to ride. Badoop, badoop. All of our bikes go through a full reconditioning process, so we usually are checking these bikes for any leaks, pinched hoses, missing bolts. I don't feel any strange movements or anything happening from this bike. Everything feels tight as it should be. There's something so funny about somebody who just assumes the merge, you know. Like that person in front of me, he was not letting that blue car in, but that blue car was waving like he was getting let in. So final impressions on this bike, it's another Street Bob. I absolutely love these bikes. I feel like it's the most considerable Harley for me to even own. And it's because it's light, it's maneuverable, they sound great. I think they look pretty good too. If you tune these things up with some aftermarket springs and shocks too, these things can perform really well. You'll see some absolute goons on these things. Thank you for riding with us, and you can find this bike online, ONYXMOTO.com. Let us know if you have any questions.